Hi guys, thank you so much for your patience. Starting off, I am Rida Malik, a Microsoft student partner, and welcome to this amazing session that has been organized by Girls Code and by Microsoft student partners, where we have Dona Sarkar joining us to talk about her journey and her experience as a woman in the field of technology. But along with that, she will also be sharing and talking about the beauty of power ups. So it's going to be pretty exciting. So hold on till she joins us.
Hey guys, I'm Ananya Vedala, a Microsoft student partner as well. And before we dive right into the session, I'd like to give you guys a small introduction about Dona Sarkar to those of you who don't know about her. So, along with being the principal advocate of the Microsoft Power Platform, she's a software engineer, a multi-published author, a public speaker, and the owner of a fashion brand. In short, she's basically a Wonder Woman. No matter how many praises we have for her, we know for a fact that they won't be sufficient. So with this, we'd like to wait for a few more minutes since Donna Sarkar will be joining us at 8:30. So we really appreciate the patience that you guys are showing. Thank you.
In the meanwhile, you can connect with your fellow attendees. In the chat, you can introduce yourself. We'll be publishing that. So you can do that and you can send in your socials and then we can get to talking. And also, if you have any questions regarding the session or any future sessions, you can send in those as well. We'll be addressing them depending on the content either now or later after Donna's session is done. So you can send in the questions. We are constantly looking at them. And if we have any, we'll be answering them as well.
Can you see it? Yes.
No, not yet.
There will be a lag, so just
okay.
sending it live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, starting off fresh. Like we said, apologies for the issue that was caused for everybody who's attending. And we have with us, as we've said before, Donna Sarkar, and she'll be starting. And we're really excited. Thank you so much, Donna, for joining us.
Thank you.
The thing is, there will be a lag anyway.
Yeah.
And as and when you talk, they will see the screen along with it. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So I would like to share with you a personal story of the Power Platform and why it's important to me. About a year ago almost, my dad, who's my best friend, was laid off from his job at Ford Motor Company. And Ford is a big automotive manufacturer here in the US. And last year they had massive restructuring and layoffs, and they laid off around 10,000 people. And they primarily laid off people who are not technical, so people who don't create technology in some way or the other. The reason for that is they're moving toward autonomous vehicles, so self-driving cars, and they believe everyone who works at their company should be technical. So my dad was a plant floor worker. He was not a technical person. So he and along with 10,000 other people were laid off. So I realize how privileged I have been to work in technology because pretty much I never have to face a problem like this. Our industry of technology is never going to go away, and it's not going to be replaced or anything like that because we build the things that drive efficiency into all of these other industries. So tech has enabled me to live all of my lives and all of my industries really, really well. So first of all, I am a software engineer at Microsoft. I worked on many teams. My favorite project used to be the HoloLens. Right now it's the Power Platform because of all the things it can do. I am a published author. I use a lot of technology to write novels, publish novels, do advertising, etc., etc. And most of my books have a tech spin to it in some way or another. I am a public speaker and I use tech all the time, like you can see today as an example. Given this quarantine pandemic period, this has allowed me to reach around 2 million people a year this year over the course of the last 6 months through all of my speaking. So that's all been done by tech. And of course, I'm also a fashion designer, and I run my own fashion company called Prima Dona. And given that that is the newest and most complex, that's what I'd like to talk about today. So my fashion company is called Prima Dona, and our mission is to disrupt the fashion industry. We think the fashion industry is incredibly toxic, and it's not good for the environment, and it's not good for people. The fashion industry thrives on making people feel like they don't have enough, and making people feel like they're not enough, and encouraging people to buy things they do not need or even want to feel good about themselves. So the entire marketing model of fashion industry is show people what they don't have and then offer to sell it to them. We don't believe in that at Prima Dona. We believe that everyone is exactly who they are. Everyone should be celebrated the way they are. And we look to elevate and celebrate our customers and not try to improve them in some way or the other. So we don't use models at Prima Dona, we use role models. And all of our models / role models are women in the tech industry who are incredibly badass and at the top of their game. So among them are Alice, who's a CEO of Code.org, which brings computer science to classrooms. Katie, who's a VP at GoDaddy, who makes websites we all use. Cynthia, who is a VP at Nordstrom, which is a big retailer in the US. Miriam, who leads finance for the Africa Development Centers for Microsoft. Raji, who's a very senior engineering director at Microsoft working on projects for Azure. So our models, and of course Amiri, who all of you know, our role models are all people who are extremely comfortable with who they are, and they like that our clothes make them feel that way. So recently we have gotten a lot of feedback from dudes and women on weekends, and they're saying, hey, we would love more casual wear, we want unisex wear, we want stuff for dudes. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do that. So we're in the middle of an experiment, and we are making a lot of unisex and menswear. So we're starting off with something very approachable, the hoodie. So this is called the Fox Street hoodie, and I wore it at the Build conference, and Jeremiah wears this all the time. And Jeremiah is my business partner. He is not a fashion person. He's very much an operations tech person. So we introduced this line of hoodies, and we've had quite a bit of sales. So along with the sales, we've gotten a bunch of feedback around people are saying, hey, we would love different prints in the hoodie, like in the accents. We love the stripes, but what else can we do? And we said, I wonder how we solve this problem. So I'm going to show you a demo of how I'm solving it. So what this all means is that I used to believe that everyone should learn coding. I was that person who's like, everyone should learn coding, everyone should get a computer science degree, or everyone should go to coding boot camp, and coding will change your life. But I realized that's just not going to happen, because not everyone in the world has time to go to computer science. Not everyone has time for coding bootcamp. And you think about people like your grandparents or your aunts and uncles, they're probably not going to do that, though you know tech will help them. So instead of them studying computer science, why don't we short circuit and get to what we really want them to do, which is use technology to make their lives better. So we introduced this concept called a global movement, and that global movement is a call to action to everyone in the world to say, let's have less code, but have more power. And the way we will do that is by using this thing we've built in the company called the Power Platform. So the Power Platform is a low-code platform that spans across Office 365, Azure Dynamics, all the tech you're really used to. And it will be a series of standalone apps that anyone can use. So a lot of you know some of these things, and I'm going to deep dive into one area that not all of you may know about today. Power BI is all of the low-code analytics, so it lets you see what's going on with your apps or your infrastructure, etc. Power Apps is the low-code app platform that lets you build apps for your phone or Teams or your browser with just drag and drop without having to go learn Java or Swift or anything like that. Power Automate works behind the scenes to automatically do stuff for you. And Power Virtual Agents are, of course, the low-code chatbots. So if you want to build a chatbot with writing no code, Power Virtual Agents is for you. So The big superpower is not the products, though, of Power Platform. It is the community. We've got around, this number's wrong now, it's around 4 million community members all over the world. We've got a lot of community members who are students, and that's why I was excited to talk to you today. What I really, really want for this year, for Ignite, for Next Build, for all of our conferences, is to have more students showing their work. I want students to show, like, here's a Power App I built for my school, my community, my house, my group, etc., etc. Because student things are very different, and we want to really understand how students are using Power Platform. So to help this along, we are actually building a Power Platform League in the Microsoft Student Ambassadors Program. So we're going to have, our goal is to have 1,000 student partners who are going to be Power Platform leaders. And we have hired actually a student partner, Homolemo, from South Africa to lead this initiative. So he will be starting with us on July 1st, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that, but you'll be getting voluntold to be doing a bunch of stuff with Power Platform and reaching students all over the world. So there are already so many, the topic of this session is women in tech, and there are a lot of extraordinary women doing stuff with Power Platform. Power Platform is actually really inclusive for people from all different backgrounds, but I want to show you 3 people who I've been particularly impressed with this year. One is, of course, Foyen Olajide-Bello from Lagos, Nigeria. She works at Sterling Bank, heading up their SharePoint division, and she saw a bunch of inefficiencies in the bank and started writing Power Apps to solve them. You should all follow her on Twitter because she's got a great video series. She's got a great blog series. She hosts meetups. She hosts women in tech meetups. She's just all around exceptional person. So that's Foyen B on Twitter. Her user group is probably one of the most successful in the world. So it started off with 2 people last August, Foyen and this other guy. And by October, which is when this, right before this event, they were at 40. And by the time this event on November 30th, they were at 150 people. And by the time I went to see them, they were at 250. So they have a huge, huge user group, Power Apps user group, Naija. And I highly recommend that you keep in touch with what all they're doing, especially if you're in Africa, because they have a very good, strong network, and they're able to help people find jobs and find opportunities. So another one is Hemantika, who is a student partner, and I find Hemantika's story to be great because she only learned about Power Apps during this quarantine period. I think it was April. She built her own, she sent it to me, and within a few weeks, she was speaking at Build about her experience and journey. And she has built a very cool mixed reality demo that you should have her show you using Power Apps. The third one is Rita, who is from University of Benin in Nigeria, and she is different than the others because she is an Android developer, and she's been doing Android dev for a while, 2 years, and she thought it was so cool how she can build a Power App so quickly to just solve basic problems. So she's had some really, really cool demos that I've asked her to come and show my team as well. So I have homework for everyone. I want everyone to start. If you have already done this homework, great. Then go to step 2. But if you haven't, if you're a total beginner and you have no idea what I'm talking about, go to aka.ms Power Up and do the homework assignment. And I'd like you to get in touch with me and tell me what you thought of the process. If you've already done the homework, go to Power Academy, which is exactly what Foyen uses for her company, and she's upskilled 100+ people so far. And I would like for you to tell me your stories, because I'm always looking for good stories. I give around 12 presentations a week. I have another one to get to exactly at 9 o'clock, which is why I have to go. And I really want all of you to be leaders in this space. All of you are spending the time to invest in yourselves, and I believe that students really have a wonderful opportunity to lead and do exceptional things with Power Platform. So I have a demo to show you. Can you still see this? No, probably not. Let me do this. Let me just share my desktop. I have a AI Builder demo to show you. Yes, I want to. Okay. Can you see this? I broke my environment. Come on. Come on. All right. Can you see that okay? Yes. Okay, I'm going to assume yes and keep going. I highly recommend you check out AI Builder. It's a quick way to learn to do AI without having to go learn Azure Cognitive Services. It's pretty easy. Go to make.powerapps.com, sign in with your student partner creds, or make an Office 365 dev account. Once you do that, go down here to AI Builder. And once you go to AI Builder, click on Build. And there's a bunch of predefined models that you can use. So here are a bunch of things that are already done for you, like sentiment analysis, business card reader. I challenge all of you to make a business card reader. It's actually incredibly useful because business cards are a huge pain in the neck, and carrying them around and losing them is not fun. So I find the business card reader to be useful to scan a business card, stash and store the contacts in my Outlook. So the thing I'd like to show you today is object detection. So as you know, at Dona, my fashion company, we have a lot of fabric that we use to make our garments with. And one of the questions people have asked me is, I would love to see floral fabric. So it's kind of random, but some people love florals and some people really hate florals. So I thought, how can I have people choose if they like this floral or not this floral? So I'm going to use this object detection to detect flowers in fabric. So how you do that is just choose common objects because it's a flower. You click next over here. So you saw I chose object detection. I chose this thing. Now I want to add a new object. What do I want to detect? I want to detect flowers. So add the new object. And then now I want to add images. So you can see over here that they want us to have 15 plus images. So here are 15 images. So that's probably the trickiest part of this, is just getting a whole bunch of images and uploading them. So I have now, why are you doing this? I have now 15 plus images in my OneDrive here that I am going to use to tag flowers, and then we're going to train the model and then you test the model. So doing AI sounds very intense, but all you're doing is training some code that exists on your machine to think, not even think, to behave a little intelligently. So what I would really like is for this AI model to detect flowers for me. So I've uploaded all those images, and now what it's going to want me to do is to identify flowers in each picture. So you can see this is going to take a little while. Now, guess what I do? Is this a flower right here? Yeah. So I highlight it and I tag it with flower. Is this a flower? Yes. I highlight it, tag with flower, flower, flower. So you can see this is going to take a little bit of time. And then I would do that for all 15 images. Is this a flower? Yep. So I draw the square around it, and it's like, yep. And it's already detecting these objects kind of on its own at this point. So I would go through and just tag everything as flowers. So I'm not going to make you watch me do this because it will take a long time. But once you're done tagging, you will get through all of these images. You just click done tagging once you get to 15. And once you're done, this next button will light up, and then you'll see a button that says train. Once you click train, just hang out for like 15 minutes, because what's happening now is AI Builder is grabbing all of those flower images and saying this is what a flower is, and creating a model for what a flower looks like. So I've already done this. So I'm going to exit out of here, and I will show you, I made this flowers or not model yesterday. It's exactly the same thing. And I trained it last night, and I would like to show you a test. So I'm going to upload an image, and that image will be this one. And we just like hang out and wait, and let's see how close our model is. You can see that it's a 50% over here. So it's not the best. I would want to get up to like 80% before I would really use it. But you can already see that it's able to detect like flower, 93% certain, flower, it's not sure, 62, flower, this is not sure. So I can already use this. Now I can take this AI model and put it into a Power App or put it into Power Automate. And you can see that what I can do now is say, if I can take a, go get a phone and scan a bunch of fabric, and I can detect, whether this is a floral or not a floral. Of course, I, Donna, know, but if I'm sending someone else, they may be like, is this floral? I don't know. And this is better for concepts in fashion that might be more difficult for people to understand. Like Jeremiah, for example, is not a fashion person. So I'll say, go get paisley. And he's like, what the heck is paisley? So if I can build a model for him, he doesn't actually have to know what paisley is. He can just go look at a bunch of fabric. Or I can send this to my tailors and they can scan and identify what fabric would be ideal. So that is me. That's why I'm working on Power Platform. That's how I use it in my day-to-day life. And all of you have homework to do. Do we have any questions? Concerns? Any questions from the audience? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Yeah, so when we sent out the registration forms, we asked a few questions. We asked if people had any questions for you. So there was one question. People had asked, what was the future of Power Apps? What is the future of Power Apps?
So the main future is that it's going to proliferate across all of Microsoft's products. And the question we're going to ask is always, can this be a Power App? So the way we think about Excel right now is the way we're going to think about Power Apps. And don't think about Power Apps just in terms of this thing, but think of it in terms of, soon we're going to be using Power Apps portals, so Power Portals way more, which are the low-code websites. And instead of us living in a SharePoint world, we're going to live probably in a Power Portals world. And instead of us living in an Excel world, we're probably going to live in a Power Apps world. So it would help all of you to just get extremely familiar with this product suite, whether you're a software engineer or not a software engineer, because you are going to use this in your life. I wish when I was younger that I'd become extremely proficient with Excel and knew how to make pivot tables and graphs and charts and all of those things. I didn't, because I thought I wouldn't use it. And I've had to learn to do that constantly, to run a business, to run my business, to be a software engineer, to be a speaker, to organize a conference. It's all Excel. So I highly, highly recommend that everyone get extremely familiar with Power Platform while it's new in its infancy, so you can have a hand in shaping the product, give feedback, use the product, build things, give feedback, make it the product you need it to be to solve your problems.
Thank you for that. Another question that a lot of students, girls had, is that what would you tell your younger self, or what is that advice, that one advice that you would like to give us younger girls as students in terms of what we should go forward with, what we should be selecting, what we should be prioritizing?
I would say stay in tech for sure. And even when it doesn't seem fun, even when people are like, oh, girls should be nurses. No. People like to push girls toward low-paying jobs. Just keep that in mind. Anytime someone tells a woman that, oh, you don't belong in tech, they actually want her job. They want women to have low-paying jobs because they believe that women should be paid lower for some reason. It's very weird. So I would highly recommend stay in tech. Even if you don't want to be a software engineer, there's 1,000 other jobs, right? Using technology. But just keep in mind that when you are technical and you are doing technical work, you're going to get paid at least twice as much as someone who's not doing technical work. My dad is an example of this. He is a man, and before he was laid off, he made maybe 1/5 my salary. Okay, so he wishes he was technical. That's what he wishes more than anything in the world. He's like, I wish I'd learned coding. I'm like, yes, I wish you'd learned it too. And I wish you'd listened to me all these years that I said learn coding. And he didn't. And now he's learning Power Platform because maybe he can do consulting or something. But just stay in it. Even if people try to push you out, even if people are like, oh, there's so many better things you can be doing. Even if you have a family, it doesn't matter. Stay in it, because truly one of the most powerful things in the world you can do is earn your own income. Because no one can have power over you if you earn your own income. And this I found to be probably the biggest factor across all of my industries. So I do make an income being an author. I make an income being a speaker. I make an income doing fashion. And the only reason I make an income across all these is because of technology. The reason we're able to produce 1,000 hoodies is because of technology. I wouldn't be able to work at Microsoft full time. I work 80 hours a week and run a fashion company if it wasn't for technology. So stay in tech no matter what you do. Even if you decide you're going to go run a fashion company, still stay in tech. Okay? So just stay in it. I'm glad I listened to that advice. I think I've done lots of stupid things in my life, but that is the one smart thing I did, and it's paid off. It's covered all of the other issues.
That's really great to hear. And
another question.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're like such a proficient public speaker. Where did that come from? I mean, where do you get the confidence from? And there must have been some point where you started from. So how did you? Yeah.
It was actually kind of like what you're doing, where it was maybe about 10 years ago. I had been at Microsoft for about 4 or 5 years, and a recruiting team said, "Hey, we want you to interview students, right? Undergrad students to come work at Microsoft." I'm like, sure, whatever, I can interview students because I've hired and all of this stuff. So I went and interviewed students, and one of those trips they asked me to do a meet the company presentation. And I had never presented in my entire life. I was never a presentation type. I'd never presented in high school and college. I never stood in front of a room and presented. I'm terrified of speaking in front of people. Not my thing. I'm like, one-on-one I can do all day, but not in front of people. But they said, yeah, it doesn't matter, you have to do it because you're here and you're from Microsoft and these students are all waiting for you. And I think I did a horrible job. But the point is not whether you're a good speaker or not a good speaker. It's, does your message resonate with the audience, right? If the audience feels like I can do something with this, then you're a good speaker. If the audience is like, great speaker, but this is not relevant, they're not going to hear you speak again, right? That's not the goal. And I think a lot of people get hung up on, oh, I want to be a good speaker on stage like Mary or James or whoever. No, the goal is to figure out, what do you want your audience to do next? And are you conveying to them very clearly what to do next, how to do it, and then what, right? This is why I always give homework. No one's confused, right? I hope no one's confused about what you're supposed to do after this. It should be very clear. Go do my tutorial 1, do my tutorial 2, connect with me on LinkedIn, do the thing. If you don't do the thing, then I'll know and I'll yell at you. But that's what it takes to become a good speaker. It really is know exactly what you want your audience to do. And I always speak in front of audiences as if I'm talking to one person. So in person, I find a person in the front row. I'm like, I'm going to yell at you for an hour, and it's just in front of a room. And on video calls, it's the same thing. I just imagine one person and I yell at them. But it really is practice. It's like riding a bicycle. First time you ride a bicycle, you fall down. Second time, you fall down. Third time, fall down. Fourth time, you don't fall down. So it's the same thing. You just do it over and over and over. And it sucks at the beginning, then it's fine.
When we introduced you, we had mentioned so many titles, and it is actually really inspiring to see something that I am really interested in. As a speaker, you've spoken at the United Nations, you've had TED Talks, and but it is not very normal that girls don't understand this, is you can't become all of that at once or all of that suddenly overnight.
Right.
Failure is a very important step in life. So what advice would you give in terms of failure to girls? It's not something that I can just start and imagine that I'm going to get all of that. It takes a lot of hard work. So what's your stance on failure?
Well, first of all, keep in mind that it's a long game. I have been in this industry for 18 years. So I am going to be 40 this year. And I'm not 22 years old. Like, I've been doing this for a long time. And it's a matter of doing one thing at a time and doing that thing decently well. Not amazing, but decent. So think of it like juggling, right? Okay, you want to take up juggling. Do you suddenly get 4 balls and start doing this? Don't do that. You're going to hit yourself in the face. So just don't do it. the first thing you do if you're learning juggling, and I learned this from someone who learned juggling, is you take one ball and you throw it. You throw and you catch, and you throw and you catch, and you throw with this hand, make sure you can throw with this hand and catch. And you get good at this. And soon you're just doing it while you're looking around, you talk to people. If you've ever seen someone, airplane, learn juggling, they'll be juggling while they're talking to you. They'll be like, yeah, you know those people who can just do this without looking. Once you can do that, add a second ball. So once you can do with one ball, then you can do it two, right? You keep one in the air and catch one. I don't know anything about, I'm not good at this, but once you can do two without looking and it's not hard, then you add a third, then you add a fourth, then you get on a unicycle and set them on fire, right? People didn't learn juggling one day by just doing it, right? They learned by taking it one step at a time, mastering that stuff. So the thing about failure is there's no such thing really, because it's sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. So I will tell you with fashion design, my very first collection was a series of things I handmade, and they were fine, but they weren't special. The fabric wasn't special. It was sourced here in Seattle. It was kind of boring. Even I didn't like it. I don't even wear anything from there. But I learned a lot. I learned so much. I learned craftsmanship. I learned about fabric selection. I learned what people like, what people don't like. I learned how to use tech to solve my fabric problems. Right now, I have fabric people in Indonesia, and I can say, send me things that look like this. And I don't even have the fabric. And I can just send them like a weird AI built model, and they can be like, okay, cool, I can find lots of things like this. But it really is, take every failure as a learning thing that you've done to get better. You know, just, it's the bicycle analogy. Every time you fell off the bike, is that failure? No, it's learning to ride a bicycle. So think of it as I am learning to do something rather than I am doing this. Just say I am learning. And as soon as you put I am learning to, all the failures go away. It's part of the process. Are there any, what type of apps can you create using Power Apps? So they're all apps that are for your organization or group. So these aren't apps that are going to go on a Google Play Store or the iOS store. These are all apps that are pretty secure, so they work for within a group of people. So for example, all of my apps are for my company, Dona. So I have me, my business partner, my operations person, and I can add people as guests. So I would add my tailor as a guest, I would add this person as a guest, that person as a guest. But the whole point of it is to run a business or run some sort of an organization using these apps. But if you're asking, that's the kind of app, external or internal, you can build iOS and Android apps. They can also run in a web browser or within Teams. So those are the 4 areas that you can do it. Are there any other questions? If you do your homework, can you join Girl Code? I think they can join if they do their homework. It's up to you too. Yeah. I think that's all the questions we have. But okay, so last bit, remember, do your homework, because what I would love is for there to be more of you on stage at our conferences. The fact that it's hard right now to find people who are young or students working on Power Apps, Power Platform, is annoying for me, because I'm like, oh, I'd love to showcase students. I know 3. Like that's not helpful. There's more than 3 students in the world, and this is not very complex to learn, right? I'm not saying go learn binary programming. I'm saying learn to build Power Apps. So go learn it and integrate in with other things you know. So go figure out, how do you use TypeScript in Power Apps? How do you use Java connectors in Power Apps? How do you use .NET in Power Apps? We are having a conference, July 15th, block your calendars, okay? Block it. It's in Pacific time, so it's going to be in the middle of the night for you after like 2 hours, but 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time. It is a professional devs conference for Power Apps. So we're going to be doing all Power Platform plus coding. I'm putting this conference on. It's the first time I've organized a conference. It's gonna be fun. And it's going to be some amazing speakers, lots of people you know, and you will be pretty excited at some of the content coming together. It's going to be amazing. So block your calendar. It will inspire you to go and build other things. Now, I am late for my next thing, so I'm going to go. Okay. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dona. Yes. It was amazing. Thank you so much.
Everyone be safe out there. Build your apps. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me your stories. If you do not do your homework, do not connect with me on LinkedIn because I'm just going to yell at you. Okay? All right. Go do the thing. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
So that was Dona Sarkar, everybody. If there are any questions left, Ananya, let us just address it if we possibly can.
Yeah, we'll try and get in touch with Donna to answer your questions as well. If you have any more questions, we'll keep the floor open for another 10 minutes. And if you guys have any questions, you can answer, or else we can close the meeting, right? And thank you so much for staying with us throughout the entire event and for having the patience that we asked of you.
Okay, first thing, I've seen a lot of people comment that they've been creating power apps. I've seen, I think, 2 different applications. We'll be letting Donna know about that as well. And
you
are there any questions?
with her actually, you can connect with her and let her know your work as well.
Yeah, you should definitely do that instead of just keeping it to yourself. I suggest that anything that is being done, you should let her know. She will definitely be appreciative of that, and it'll eventually get there no matter what. So are there any more questions? Let me see. Yes, there was a question with somebody wanting to join Girls Code if they do the homework. Yes, you can just send in a message to any of us via this. If you want to know more, just send us. We'll send you the socials where you can contact us and you can be a part of Girls Code. That is not a problem at all. And yes, we also hope it'll be the best platform that you can utilize. Okay, so I also want to take this moment to appreciate all the leads who have helped us at Girls Code to put up this session. It was a great help from you guys, and I'm sure that we wouldn't be able to do it to such an extent without you. So thank you so much to all of you.
Having all of them up on Instagram, do follow us there so you'll know who our leads are and who is working behind the scenes in the entire initiative of Girls Code.
Yes, we will be putting up all the leads on Instagram. You can contact us there. You can contact any of the leads that you know and get in touch and get into the community. That would be great. And I don't think there are any more questions here.
Yeah, there are no more questions here. So I think we can close the session now. Yeah, thank you everybody for joining us. Okay. Bye.
It was great to have you. And regardless of the technical issue that we faced, like Ananya said, thank you so much for staying the entire meeting. I know that it would have been really beneficial for you as well. So thank you. It was a great session. And that's it. Let's wrap this up, guys. You can leave now. That's it. That's all there is to it. If there are any questions, we'll just look at it. But otherwise, you can leave.